Oh, hello there, Eddie here. I'm taking this opportunity to extend my welcome again to the course MGMT6022, the Management Perspective Unit. And there are a few things that I'd like to actually discuss in this session. The first one is actually about the timetable and assessment due dates. I posted an announcement just before we started the class, and if you look at that, we have the links to our webinars, and we have split the webinar sessions into 2 sessions, Tuesday and Friday sessions. And they have different links to join the session. Okay, and by the way, although I've put up here, it will be valid from week 1 to week 11, but after the Christmas break, we are going to announce the new links for everybody. Okay, and I'm also taking this opportunity to show you the assessment due dates. Assessment 1 is due on Friday, week 6, 21st of December 2018. So just before we go on, having a Christmas break, having Christmas. So before you open the bottle, so yes. Please hand in your assessments on Friday, and assessment 2 is due on the 15th of February. In other words, it is on Friday, week 12. So please also observe the school's policy regarding late submission and special consideration. And the other thing I'd like to highlight to you is if you want to have a consultation, please feel free to send your emails. My response to email so far has been quite fast. I strive to reply within 24 hours, basically, if you send your inquiries to emails. And yeah, so that's basically the main points I'd like to discuss in terms of the assessment timetable. And please feel free to send me your email with your inquiry. Okay, now the other thing that I'd like to discuss is actually about the assessment. And this is assessment 1 that I'd like to discuss first, and that's one that I'd like to focus on, basically. And again, if you look at that, it is due at the end of module 3. And that means week 6, or in other words, it's on the 21st of December. Okay. Hopefully I'm not using an alcoholic calendar to calculate it, okay, and it's 40% basically in terms of weighting, or it will be 40 marks, okay. And all right, now let's have a look at the assessment briefly in a nutshell, okay. So this assessment is basically to get us to show or to demonstrate that we understand the organization's politics and dynamics of the business environment, basically. Okay, so that's the context of these assessments. Okay, so that helps you with the necessary skills to understand the constraints that managers and emerging leaders in developing strategies or management strategies, if you like, in handling the barriers of the organization. Okay, and a few things in terms of the instructions that I'd like to highlight to you. This is pretty much a research report, basically, if you like. So this is an individual assessment, okay, where the research needs to show, our research report needs to show a rationale for the methodology, research methodology, and the theoretical framework, if you like. You can refer to the organizational theory, okay, and utilize of the appropriate research strategies or research methods, if you, in other words, okay, and critically examine the role of ethics and ethical practice relevant to the chosen organization, okay, and a discussion of the role and legitimacy of the management function and how it is impacted by politics and the social environment, okay. And we also need to demonstrate that we can use the qualitative analysis and incorporate the use of several high quality external sources, okay. So high quality external sources, okay. And our report should be in 2,000 words. That's the length of the report, and it's plus minus 10% basically, excluding the table of contents, title page, and references, appendices, if you have the appendices, okay, executive summary, okay, so they are excluded, okay. And please write in the formal writing style, okay, and use the APA referencing style, all right. Now, the assessment brief also suggests that you need to look at the contributions that the case study method that Robert Yin developed some time ago, and he revised that in 2014. Basically, if you can also include that, that will be fantastic. Now, I would also like to recommend you to look at the rubrics. These are the rubrics, okay? So you need to be able to explain the research methodology, the strategies or methods that that you need to include to address the research research project that you bring, the ethical analysis, and also the qualitative analysis, okay? Right, so that's basically the assessment brief wants us to do. If you look at the assessment brief, and the next thing I'd like to discuss is actually, I have written a bit of advice, and if you look at that, I just need to bring the instructions here, right? This is a set of instructions that we need to deliver, okay? And they are the instructions, and I have put in bold the key aspects that we need to adhere to, like the research methodology and organizational theory, okay, ethics, the role and legitimacy of the management function, politics and the social environment, okay, and the qualitative analysis, okay. And of course, we definitely need to use the high quality external sources, okay. Wikipedia is not one of them, by the way. We are not going to be impressed if Wikipedia is used and not a reliable one for business or academic purpose, okay? Now, this is the approach that I would like to recommend you to do, okay? First, I would like to recommend you to select an organization that you plan to focus on. This could be the organization that you are working at the moment, or you're working for at the moment, okay? So you can select that organization, that is fine, okay? Introduce this organization and the industry it is competing, okay. You can, for the industry analysis, you can refer to the Abyss World Report, for instance, industry analysis, okay. You can refer to the Abyss World Report, okay. Now, I must highlight to you that not all industries are covered by the Abyss World Report, but at least that gives you some insight in terms of the overall industry. You can also research the company basically based on the Abyss World Report. Okay, see how you go. Okay, there's some opportunities here. Okay, you may want to contact the librarian as well to look at that. Okay. And again, there is no guarantee that this is recommended. Okay, no guarantee that we can get something from the Abyss World Report. If you can get it, that's fantastic. Okay, and outline our literature review. that reveals the theoretical framework, okay, such as the organizational theory, any other management theory, files theory, the social theory, for instance, because at the end of the day, we actually discuss this from the social science, if you like, a social science perspective. So that's the one that we need to apply. I would recommend you to consider a range of theories when you highlight this, when you explain, when you outline your literature review. Okay. Now, based on that literature review, okay, you need to look at the organization that you work for or the organization that you focus on, right? Think about the research questions. Okay, think about the research questions. Think about 3 research questions. Okay, when you think about the 3 research questions, think about the legitimacy. Okay, think about the political and social environment and ethics. Okay, see, these 3 aspects are actually related to the ones I put in bold. Okay, so that's one that I'd like to recommend you to do in terms of approach. And the next one is to explain research method to collect the data. Now, in here, you need to explain the case study method, which is basically part of the qualitative method. Okay, and explain the key findings of your research. Okay, explain the key findings of your research. Okay, and please refer to the assessment brief for details. Okay, and again, it is due on Friday, week 6 of T4 2018. That means 21st December 2018 city time. And please use the APA referencing style. And in terms of similarity index, please ensure that your Turnitin similarity index does not exceed 20%, and use academic journals, as we discussed above, that we need to use quality sources, okay, and the other quality sources of information. That's basically the advice. And yeah, I'll start with the first topic in the next few minutes. Okay, so this is basically the introductory topic to introduce the main things about the main points about the subject. Okay, and if you look at that, we actually try to discuss the concept management. Okay. And if you refer to management, for the concept management, for instance, Peter Drucker, one of the management gurus, described management as a field of social discipline dealing with the behavior of people and human institutions. That's what he suggests, actually. And a more practical definition suggests that management is the process of getting things done through other people, if you like. And if you want to elaborate that for a more formal definition, that's actually about the process of getting activities completed efficiently and effectively with and through other people. Okay, and if you look at your learning resources, it's actually dated back. The awareness of the management actually dating back to the ancient period. For instance, when people need to develop something, and that involved many other people, hundreds or probably thousands of people. So that's when we realized that in our civilization, if you like, we realized that well, we need to do something in it, and therefore we come up with the word management. Okay. Your reading also suggests 4 management functions, if you like. Broadly speaking, we have this planning, organizing, controlling, and leading where if you look at that framework, we have the external forces such as political, economic, social, technological, international, as part of the context where the organization competes. Okay, and there are also forces within the environment. Some scholars suggest this as the micro environmental actors, like the competitors, the suppliers, customers, labor markets, for instance. Okay, and in that system, in the management system, we actually need to get the inputs to drive this management function. Okay, so the inputs in here revolves around the firm size, okay, the size of the organization. You can compare small business, for instance, with a large corporation, for instance. That will make the difference in terms of driving the organizational the management functions. Okay, the resources and the inputs that the organization receive will also play a significant role in terms of running these four management functions. Okay, and that actually leads us to the efficiency and effectiveness of outputs produced. Okay, so the efficiency and this is actually related to the objectives of the management, how we can achieve that. Okay, and if you look at that as well, again, we have the organizational culture that we need to consider that drives, that affects how we drive this process. Okay, planning, organizing, controlling, and leading. Okay. All right, well, as a thought, you can also start thinking the difference between large firm and small firm, and potentially, and also, of course, the medium-sized firm in terms of how they run the organization, how the management functions work in these different organizations. Okay, so there are a few things that I'd like you to think about. Okay, look at your own organization. You can compare that to organizations such as from sport perspective. You can look at the large organizations such as major football club, or major in playing, competing in the English Premier League or in the Spanish football competition, for instance. Okay, or you can also compare that to a small organization like a fruit shop near us, for instance. Okay, how they run this management function. You can look at the aspect of the planning, the organizing, the controlling, leading, for instance. Okay, who leads them, and so on and so forth. Okay, and that is also something that we can always discuss. Okay. All right. Now, the management process itself, we have the work agenda. If we zoom into the management process, we have the work agenda, work methods, and roles. So each member of the organization has roles that they need to perform so that we can drive the management functions, the planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Okay, so without these work agenda and work methods and roles, the management functions will not happen. Okay, and that is intended to achieve certain goal of the organization. Okay, and in saying that, we also need to consider the organization needs to develop their knowledge. Okay, it's knowledge based, and definitely they need the key management skills to help them achieving the goal of the organization. Okay. Now, by the way, you can also think about the goal of your organization. Okay. Well, we can think of financial goals such as sales, revenue achievements, or or profit achievements from financial perspective. Okay, and we can also think about metrics beyond financial, such as the brand reputation, credibility, the innovation of the the innovativeness of the organization, or the customer satisfaction, for instance. Okay, so that's part of the goal that we try to achieve. Okay, there are some examples of the goal that we try to achieve as an organization. Okay. And all right, so work methods. Yeah, we talk about unrelenting pace. Okay, that's what we say. That's what expert Mintzberg did the research actually. And now you can. I believe you're familiar with this name, because we mentioned that you can also find that name in the in your learning resources, basically. That Naim Mintzberg, he's one of the popular, influencing scholar as well when it comes to management studies. Okay, he did research to find out what managers do actually. Okay, and one of the things that he suggests was the work methods. From work methods perspective, well, these guys are unrelenting pace. So managers. So that is the first group. Managers with this method arrived at the office in the morning and started the work, continuing until they left at night. Okay. The second type of work methods basically suggests the brevity, variety, and fragmentation, where these type of managers actually handle a wide range of issues across their day. Okay, and the last group. The last type of work method actually includes the verbal context and networks, and these managers preferred verbal communication by phone or in meetings rather than written communication such as memos and formal reports. Okay, now that was research that he conducted some time ago, and now we understand that we are actually coming to the era where we are using digital technologies. Okay, we use digital technologies. Okay, which is basically fantastic for us to do our work, to complete our work, to get the jobs done, basically. Okay, so you can also critically think about it, observe your environment, observe your organization, whether these work methods are still relevant, or whether they have evolved to the next level. Okay, where some managers probably just depend on their iPad, for instance. When they're on the train, on the bus, they access their iPad, and they keep communicating with the others. They actually have started the work already when they are on the train, for instance, and they access the iPad. They communicate with the others. They do some work. Okay, they have started the day already. Okay. Or think about that. So let's. I'd like to actually invite you to think about it further in terms of looking at the concepts that we discussed. Okay, into the real life that we are facing on day-to-day basis in the organization. Okay, so. So the theory that we learn, the scholars' research findings, basically we can always test it. We can always critically look at that, review them based on our own experience. Okay, based on our day-to-day experience. Okay. All right. So. That's basically a few things tonight, and in the next session we are going to expand our discussion as well to discuss the other aspects of Mintzberg. Okay, and have a good one.